Good afternoon, world. It is moments past noon in Waxahachie, Texas, and it is raining like cats and dogs. And I'm glad I got all my landscape trimming in yesterday afternoon. And we are broadcasting live from our palatial studios here in downtown Waxahachie in the shadows of the Ellis County Courthouse. And today is 24th of April, and this is our 59th episode of Grit and Good News. And I'm your co host, Jeff Lynch. Our producer, Sam, is busy working on something electronic over there. I don't know
Texting his
what.
girlfriend.
Texting his. And I'm your co host, Jeff Lynch. And right here is my buddy, my pal, my friend.
Yep.
And it's an honor to introduce Scott Brooks.
Thank you, brother. It's my pleasure, our pleasure to have you here. We're excited about this rainy day and grit and good news. It's Thursday already. I'm telling you, as I get older, I don't know about you, Jeff and Sammy. Sammy may think it's going fast too, but these weeks go by like that to me.
And I've been having a lot of confusion on keeping up with the day.
It's
And now
amazing.
I'm going to be spending
Yeah.
2 nights at Windstar, and I'm going to come home and spend 2 nights in Minnesota, and I'm going to come home and I'm going to spend 5 nights in San Antonio, and I won't know what bed is mine. And I don't think I'll know the day
Yeah,
for
well,
about 10
that's a good
days.
segue into next week. We will put out probably on Monday. Sammy will put out our schedule for next week. Jeff is on the road due to a, a death in the family and then a little vacation. So Jeff will be gone all of both shows next week, right? Or just
Both
one?
shows next week, and
And
then
then
that
the following
following
week.
week, we are going to endeavor to try a remote for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. So
Sam's going to get that worked
we'll
out.
see about next week's shows. I may do them by myself, or we'll see, but we'll announce everything to you. Uh, but it's always something going on. So thank you for being here. We are
And
grateful for your participation and your support. That said, it's the 59th episode. So Jeff does his numbers of, I guess, famous, how would you say it? Numbers of famous
famous
players.
people who wore that
Yeah.
number, and the pickings have been slim here in the upper 50s, and it's slim here at 59. I got Jack Ham
I
from
thought
the
he was the other day. Oh, that was Jack
that
Lambert.
was Jack
Yeah,
Lambert,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And check this on Jack Ham. You talk about a guy that's got Pennsylvania in his blood all the way. He was born in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
He played for Penn
Penn
State
State, yeah,
University. He played all 12 of his years with the Steelers. Got 4 rings with them. Um, Hall
yeah.
of Fame. I
I wonder
mean,
if he still lives there. Is he still alive?
I think he is.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder if he still lives
I
there.
mean, who else did? Joey Mauer did that up in
Yeah,
Minnesota, high school, college, and
and that's
and
it.
and
That's
the
cool.
Twins.
Yeah.
And then I got Landon Fletcher with Washington Redskins.
And he played for St. Louis too, I think, or the Rams,
He
didn't he?
did. He
Yeah.
was 16 years total, and he was undrafted in 16 years in the league. We got the big draft tonight, and
We're gonna talk about that later.
we go
Yeah,
7 or 8.
yeah.
And so I told you I'd be bombarding you with hockey sweaters this entire playoff time, and I had a tough time picking what to wear today because Tampa's playing tonight. I got a Tampa, and Vegas is playing. I got a Vegas.
Yeah.
I got numbers on both of those. I got a generic Wild. But I just thought because we've got 3 Canadian teams playing tonight, I'd go with the Canadian
Yeah.
from the Four Nations.
Sidney Crosby, the kid, Sid the kid.
Sid the Kid, and he, you know what? He's another guy. All his life with Pittsburgh,
Hmm.
17 years in a row making the playoffs, and now they've been
Yeah,
out
yeah.
for 3 of it.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Okay,
I think Sullivan, their coach, is probably gonna not. He might. I don't doubt he get fired, but I think he's gonna go somewhere. Maybe the Rangers.
you saw how
We'll see.
fast Jim Montgomery got
Yeah,
fired at the Bruins, and he got hired that next
yeah. St.
day at
Louis.
St. Louis. They had to fire their coach to bring him in,
That's
but they did
crazy.
it. Yeah,
So it is hockey, and
hockey.
NBA. So just a quick update on the playoffs as it pertains to those of us in North Texas.
How'd the Mavs do last night?
The Mav, they're having their popcorn. By the way, I saw an interview the other day with Nico or whatever his name
Nico.
is. He said I knew that the fans loved uh Luca, but I didn't know it was that deep. I mean, I don't know what you have to know that it's deep. Anyway, that's another story for another day. But we have the Stars playing the Colorado Avalanche, Colorado Avalanche are one of the best teams in NHL. So they came to Dallas, started 2 games here. Now they're out in Colorado. So Dallas lost the first game, and we're thinking, oh man, can't lose both games at home because that's a bad deal. So they lost the first game, came back in a thriller, overtime.
Overtime.
Little Blackwell
Yeah.
scored a goal, and then last night it was the game was 1-0 until the third period, and then Jamie Benn. That was a sweet. For those of you that like hockey, if you'll get it, but for those of you that don't, indulge us for 2 seconds. But a shot from the line,
From inside the blue line.
yeah, just inside the blue line. And as the announcers were talking about, watch Ben put his stick on the ice and he had it deflected perfect. It was sweet. That is sweet.
And I heard a terminology I've never heard, and it was a perfect description. How does he present? He
Yeah, presented
presented,
as
and as a forward, you need to be when you're skating and you don't have the puck. If your stick is on the ice, then
yeah,
they know you're open
ready.
and
Yeah,
you can get it there.
yeah,
And in football, when you're open,
yeah.
you wave a hand, and in hoops too. But presenting the
Well,
stick,
that was it. Yeah, they used that more than once,
yeah.
and but it was beautiful. So uh, that tied the score. Then we go into overtime, which promise I cannot. I have to flip the channel, and then what I'll do is I'll go and see if who won, and then I can record or go backwards and watch it. But what a pretty play in overtime for Tyler
Tyler
Sagan
Sagan, who
to score. Wasn't really that long into overtime, was it? I can't remember,
no,
but
no, it wasn't.
that shut up that arena real fast. So
It
now the
did.
Stars are up 2-1. They play tonight. I don't know if they play tomorrow night or Friday night at Colorado. Jeff and I'll be going to see them play Monday night back in here in Dallas.
They
So
play Saturday at 8:30 at night.
okay, in Colorado, and
Yeah,
then they'll come back on Monday to Dallas.
at the famous TBD. But if it's like how they've been running it, it'll
Be
be
at 8:30ish.
8:30, which is really an 8:52 drop of the puck.
Yeah,
In the
so
normal season, it's 7 minutes. If it's a seven
so
o'clock game, it's seven oh
we'll have a
seven.
late night. But anyway, so there you have it for what really impacts the local area. We
Yeah,
are pulling for the Stars. Go Stars, go Stars, go Stars.
about them.
Another update, we are waiting on reports from the Midlothian School District, Midlothian Police Department, and from the DA. Either all of them or one of them. We're not going to write a story on what happened in at the Midlothian uh, school, McClatchy School, and it's an important story that we need to tell. So we're not going to do what's being done now by others, and that is
Rush to print.
well, that plus just making up stuff and running with it. So once we have those reports, we've got requests into them now. We will have a story for you. Next Wednesday, we're also going to have a story on the Waxahachie School District. There are some things going on at the school with a new superintendent. You already know about that, but we have some issues we want to share with our readers. So more to come there. All right, so there's the update on those things. Now we're gonna yesterday in the Sun, we wrote a story about a 1200, all of page one, pretty much, a story about the changes that we are undertaking at the Waxahachie Sun. And I don't want to bore anybody. Jeff will weigh in, and Sammy can weigh in too if he wants. Yeah, Chuck, it is an amazing series for sure. But we started this Waxahachie Sun in 2018 at a time when the newspaper industry, I should clarify that, make sure you know, newspaper industry was suffering. It still suffers today. It used to be when I started, it was a monopoly. We were rolling in the dough. We newspapers controlled communities in terms of being the primary voice, the only voice really. And so over time, with the advent of technologies and that sort of thing, the newspaper industry started to struggle really early 2000s. And then as time has progressed, it has gotten more difficult for newspapers to survive. Thousands of newspapers have gone out of business. We have made a commitment to the Waxahachie community that we cannot leave the city, the community, without a real local, ultra local, bonded, committed voice. And we have the Daily Light here. The Daily Light's owned by a guy in New Jersey, and I'll just leave it at that. But we are so committed. Everybody that works for us lives in Waxahachie. Every story we write 95% of the stories are about Waxahachie. So it's all about Waxahachie for us. We cannot leave Waxahachie as what is referred to as a news desert, and that is a city without a true voice, because the cities that have lost their newspapers are struggling in so many ways. Taxes, crime has risen, corruption um, goes berserk, uh, communities can be disconnected. There's no real central focus hub of information that's the truth. So we can't let that happen to Waxahachie. That's
Related question.
yeah.
Has there been any kind of studies ever done on what having a daily newspaper around your house or a weekly newspaper does for literacy for kids?
Yeah, that's another good point, is that it speaks to, in the older days, we used to have sections just for kids, and
Mm-hmm.
there are still those sections available to us if we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to have them. But it would those would be put in the classroom, and kids would color, answer questions, do puzzles, do all sorts of things. So the newspaper was used as a tool by teachers to help with literacy. Then, in addition to that, we had what was called NIE programs, newspaper and education. So we would print our regular newspaper just like we
Right?
do now, and then we would take them to the schools, and the schools would use them and disperse them however they wanted to. We still love doing one of that. Still love doing that. If any school wants a newspaper, we give it to them and we put them in the library, and we our digital is in the library now. But yes, so to answer your question. So all that said, the Waxahachie Sun, we announced yesterday that we're making some significant changes effective May the 7th, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. We will no longer be in the home delivery business. Uh,
Ouch.
yeah, it's not. I mean, the hard truth of it is that the newspaper itself, the tactile, as I referred to it, tangible product is made of trees, as you all know. It's paper, and then the ink is produced however it's produced. The paper is ultra expensive now. Despite my affinity for tariffs and believe that it's the proper way to go and that Trump's doing the right thing and I support it, we uh, we are dealing with increased prices as a result of Canadian tariffs, because the paper that we use is produced in mills in Canada. So we have been experiencing significant increases in newsprint and ink. Matter of fact, when we started, we produced two newspapers a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. We now pay for one paper the same amount, just under the same amount as we did for two papers.
When I got my subscription in April of 21, I was fired up about the two
Yeah,
times a week. And the next week,
we went to one.
we went to one.
Yeah, so we produce the newspaper. We reach the smallest number of people with our tangible print and ink piece of paper. Uh, but we pay second to payroll. It's our most expensive thing. So it doesn't make any sense for us to keep doing that when, in fact, overwhelmingly, and I'm talking about a comparison of, say, 2,000 people, 3,000 people with our print product every week, uh, and the same people. So it never increases. It's just the same people every week, to 100 and compared to 150,000 with our digital product, which is not always the same people. So, and we spend very little on the digital product in comparison. So we said that doesn't make any sense. So we will stop home delivery on the 7th. The printed piece will still be available at our various locations in the community and at the Waxahachie Sun. You can get the detail of that in the story if you missed it, yesterday's page one. So but I really want to focus in on something that impacts you watching and us here. Obviously, my wife says in high school in a class we had to do a daily event, write a report on an article in the paper every day. So there you go.
Mhm.
And a lot of schools across the country uh, did that, and that's why the NIE programs are so big. Chuck says, Scott, one of these days I'd love to bend your ear on the story to create the sun. Be happy to do that, Chuck, anytime. You ought to come visit us. And hey, Terry, welcome. So the part I want to really dive into here has to do with our op-ed opinion page. It's called op-ed by most folks, certainly in the industry. We have, ever since we started, had by design a what I consider a robust opinion page. Page used to be page 3, now it's page 5. On that page, you'll find my column, letters to the editor, a variety of guest columns. You'll find Jeff and other poets, but primarily Jeff's poetry and poems on that page. Sometimes they're on different pages with respect to a poem because a poem is not really an op-ed. Um, so we we are proud of that op-ed page. Some newspapers have gone the route of getting rid of it. And I started thinking about getting rid of it. People I trust said, "No, don't do that. Don't do that." So I decided not to do it. But Jeff and I do this show. This show is watched by more people outside of Waxahachie, in some cases far outside of Waxahachie than in Waxahachie. The columns that I've been writing this year have, by design, been a nationally focused, politically focused columns, and those, uh, as we say in the story yesterday, that now we're at about 2.8 million people, probably over 3 million now, over the past 8 weeks have read the columns in those over those periods of time over those 8 weeks. Those columns all thematically all have been about politics one way or the other, from Jesus as the Jesus presidency to uh, the left being hysterical over Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Doge. Those columns obviously are reaching people, and I can tell you because we see them. Many of them write me, many of them post and comment, many of them share those columns. They're from all over the country. Some are from across the world. So something is triggering the interest out there. So, but on the other hand, the people in Waxahachie who subscribe to the Sun and know that the Sun is about Waxahachie, hence the name, don't necessarily want to be inundated with political national content. Make sense so far?
Totally.
So the quandary is, okay, well, we're going to keep our op-ed page in the Sun, but that op-ed page, as I say in the story yesterday, is going to be totally about Waxahachie. Now, letters to the editor can be about anything. We don't control what somebody writes and shares with us. But the content that we have on in columns is going to be 100% about Waxahachie, not to the exclusion of something major happening in the country that we need to share op-ed about. So that doesn't that doesn't lend itself to what Jeff and I are doing with Grit and Good News, whether it be this show, my columns, which have been nationally focused. So we now, going forward, starting on May the 12th, and you're going to hear more about this in a number of ways, Jeff and I and Sammy are taking Grit and Good News to a platform called Substack, which is used by many columnists and many writers, authors, podcasters, so on and so forth, as the place to go to search for your favorite columnist or writer and subscribe to them. So on May the 12th, we will be moving over to, we'll still the same shows, but the columns that people have read in the past, well, since the beginning of the year, essentially of mine, that are nationally focused, won't be found in the Sun anymore. They're going to be found on Substack under the Grit and Good News banner. So you go to Grit
Okay.
and Good News, you go to Substack, find Grit and Good News. You subscribe for $4.99, less than a burger, less than coffee in some places, if not most places. Uh, and you get a whole bunch of stuff. You get two columns instead of one column a week. I'll be writing two columns. You'll get a newsletter that contains all of these things on Monday and Friday. Jeff will have a poem in Monday and Friday. I'm calling that or referring to it as an opinion column. I'm sorry, opinion poem,
Right.
because it's related to the topic that I'm writing about, but it's going to be Jeff's own take in a poetry kind of way about how he views it, that topic. So in addition, the links to our shows will be there. We will be doing audio versions of the column and the poem. Sammy's going to help us with all of that. And we will have, let's see, what else am I missing? So, column, opinion poems, written good news shows, audio versions, and I believe there's something else. We'll have merchandise and some giveaways there. Um, and there's something else, but I'm missing it.
So it's a lot of changes we're talking about, and they're all happening simultaneously. And let's try to sort out one thing. We will still have a show on Tuesday and Thursday,
Yes.
and I will still read a poem on Tuesdays and Thursdays, primarily older poems from various books. Um, we're going to have a newsletter twice a week.
Yes.
It's going to have two opinion pieces, one on each, and two poems. And um, you might say, Jeffrey, are you capable of keeping up with writing two new poems a week when you traditionally have just over the years published a few books because whenever you feel like writing something, you write something and nobody's ever putting a gun to your head other than somebody says, hey, can I have something for a 70th birthday or a 50th birthday or a kid's birth or any of that? And I do custom things. But here's the thing that makes me fired up in terms of, I'll turn 70 this summer and I started writing poetry in my retired days, and I'm still trying to be active and vibrant with my mind and to do things that I hadn't done in my life. And writing one poem, much less a book, comes in that category. Now, to be teaching kids has been the biggest thrill of all. And here's why I think that I can do a good job
Mm.
in these opinion poems because I tell the kids all the time, you can write a poem about anything you want, whenever you want, if you want. And if you give me a topic, they're in the topic you could give me that I couldn't write a poem about. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that turns out to be nice.
Well, I think it will, and yeah, I'm excited about that because there aren't really in the world of op-eds or everybody
Right.
can have an opinion. Everybody does. Not everybody can share that opinion effectively via writing, uh, but just like podcasts, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people do it. Shouldn't be doing it. We're trying to get better every day. A lot of people can write opinion columns. Some of them aren't very good. Some of them are excellent. Uh, in terms of opinion poems, that's not a description that you hear as a common description out there. So I'm interested in how that the attraction. I think there will be an appeal and an attraction to that because it's different. It's taking a topic that I write about on Mondays and Fridays in this in with the links in the newsletters to those columns, and at the same time, Jeff will have a link in those same newsletters to his poem about the same columns, and they're not going to be just the same topic with a different version. It's going to be in many respects a totally different take
I'll be
on
writing
it.
these on my own without
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
wants.
I won't have anything to do with it. So,
Uh,
the other things that we will have in this newsletter are we will be having. If you look at any newsletter these days, you get all kinds of. I mean, we'll have maybe three or four different great stories that aren't common out there that you're not going to pull up Fox News or ESPN and find what we're going to put in our newsletter. We're going to be engaging you with well, not letters, but stories about really cool, wonderful, tragic, inspirational, could be depressing, but stories that are really worth your time to read, that aren't overwhelming, but that are just there for you to become
in the
more
opinion part of the paper,
of the uh, huh,
eh, of the Grit Good
of the
News.
Great and Good
Yeah. Yeah.
newsletter. So there will be, when you get it, you'll see the column, the opinion poem, links. You'll have uh, links to our shows. You'll have links to the audio version. You'll have links to these three or four different stories from across the world. So
Yeah.
it'll be filled with descriptions and stuff, but you're not going to get a newsletter that's 18 feet long that you have to scroll down forever to read the whole thing. It's a newsletter. So the newsletter provides in a very short way a description of what this is and then the link to it. So that's
So
how that will work.
when you're in that newsletter and you hit that link and then you read that thing, and then is it easy to just get back to the
Well,
newsletter?
the newsletter, yeah, the newsletter, if you're looking at it on the screen, the newsletter doesn't disappear. The link calls it up and it's a different page. So
Oh,
all you got to do is when you're like with all the newsletters I read my story that I hit the link to,
yeah.
and then I just close it out and right there is
Oh,
the
okay.
newsletter.
All right.
So that's what we're doing. And again, we're asking folks to, if you like what you've read, if you like this show, if you like our approach, which we hope and we do our best to make it different insofar as we're not here to be sensational. We're not here to swear and act cool and woke and all that crap. We're here to just be two authentic, practical, God fearing, faith based, logical men who have a blast doing this, who just want to make your life better, even if it means being exposed to something that might make you feel bad, but that makes you more aware of what's going on in the world.
Right. And in this change, Scott, who's been the biggest critic you know of it?
You,
And have I done a pretty good
yeah,
job of not being critical about it today?
yeah. I
Okay,
mean, yeah,
because I've accepted it, and I wanted to bring up just a couple things that I hope those of you who might be a little bit on the fence will accept. Bear in mind that as a home delivery subscriber, I do have access to the digital edition. And the main time I ever go to the digital edition is if I can't wait till like 10:30ish when it's normally thrown on my driveway, and I got a pretty good hankering that I got a poem in it that day. Well, man, I'm tearing into the e-edition
yeah,
because
right away.
I want to see it. Okay,
Sammy, do you have that up? But
and
yeah, put
and
up a page of the,
and here's what I do like about the e-edition. Almost well every picture that you see in black and white in the paper is in
in
color.
color. Yeah, but you
Every
could, there's
ad
looking at it right now, the page one. So that's what you're going
eh,
to see as opposed to the inky
eh,
gray. That's what
every ad you see in
is
the
in,
paper
yes,
is in color, and it's like it's kind of like when things change from black and white to color in the
yeah,
Wizard of Oz, and oh my gosh, what a change that was.
right.
So I do like that, and let's not dismiss one of the biggest reasons for the change was in this new era with the opinions coming out. Um, It's going to leave some space for something, and you're going to have the expanded daily content. When you get a 1 week old paper, sometimes that news that you get is 7 days old.
Yep,
And in this case, if there's something shaking and breaking here in town,
goes up
it's
immediately.
not like there's going to be expanded content every day of the
Right,
week, right?
right.
That's never the
No,
intention. Okay.
yeah.
But when it's news,
It's almost like the daily newspaper used to be, is that
yeah,
you would get a newspaper every day with the news of that day. Our digital approach will be the same way. We
yeah,
we have stories. What we do is we write right now. We write stories, and we might have 15 stories that are in what we call the queue or the folder that are ready for an edition. But we don't go because of the expense of paper and ink. We don't go on forever with page counts. There's a limit that the newsroom knows they have and the ad department knows that is there. So those 15 stories that are good just sit and wait and wait and wait and wait for an addition to go into. And in this case, we write a story, whether it's breaking news or feature or enterprise or whatever sports, it goes up when the
right,
editor Audrey says it's ready to
right,
go. It goes
right.
straight up. I don't even see it. It goes straight up. So in that regard, it's very similar to a daily newspaper
Yeah.
experience. So we're just trying to do our best to as we say in the story, calibrate, recalibrate.
Well, yeah.
But great and good news is there's a lot of excitement for us. We know we have a significant following out there, and we simply want to see if that's the best approach. What we're doing now under a subscription model, again for $4.99 a month. All right, so that's what's happening. That's a lot of information. Sammy, do you want to add anything? No, okay. With your Luca haircut. Um, so I wrote a column yesterday about the Trump. Forget the title of it, but the Trump psyche. Sammy, can you put that up? The so I've been trying with these columns that have gone nationwide and have that such a huge following. I've been trying to say let's put aside uh, me endorsing or supporting Trump with every word I write. I don't want to necessarily go after the left all the time, although there's lots of reasons I can go at them every single day. I almost said a word I shouldn't have said. The so I've said let's write these columns, Scott, about Trump and the administration and see if we can help people just understand why he does the things he does. Why does Doge exist? Why did he choose Musk? Why does Musk do what he does? What? So people have responded to that and saying this is the only place right now I can find that just puts it down in terms of all the access to grind and all the hysteria and sensationalism and just offers a practical approach. And so that's what we're going to keep doing. So yesterday's column is essentially this is a Trump psyche. Why does Trump this we talked about this the other day, I think, on the air. Why does Trump, for those of you listening, just think about it. If you want to answer, you can. But why does Trump say, I might run for a third term? I'm considering running for a third term. Why does he do that? Now he knows good and well that the Constitution, I think it's the 22nd Amendment, the Constitution says you can't do that. FDR was the last one, and FDR had 4 terms as president. But the amendment uh, came as a result of that and said no longer can anyone serve as president of the United States for more than 2 terms. So Trump is in office and he's rocking and rolling, doing what he wants to do, taking tough stances, working at a faster pace than any president has, blah, blah, blah. Says, I'm gonna I think I'm gonna run for a third term. I'm gonna see what that's like. Why does he do that? And and so that's what the
because of
column.
his insatiable narcissism.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think
Be-
there are obviously signs of Trump being a narcissist. On the other hand, Trump does things that are contrary to what a narcissist does.
Right.
From, having read as much as I can about the man, Trump is very philanthropic in a quiet way. So
Mhm.
there are lots of things he does for people that you don't know about. That's unlike a narcissist. A narcissist wants to be known for being nice and good and kind and charitable and that sort of thing. It's all a ruse. Or they do it, it's real that they do it, but why they do it is because it's self-serving. Trump Trump doesn't
because he wants, like
like
Chuck
Chuck.
says,
Hmm.
he likes the reaction because he wants to make the people he has uh, disillusioned further disillusioned. You know what?
Well, here's a thought.
I don't buy the approach, and I'll jump right to number 3 on my 5 thoughts here,
Okay.
and it's that often less is more. And I'm telling you what, he's got his hands in more things than he can handle, and he doesn't have to brand everything as a Trumpism. I think I think
That's
he's
the point of the column,
well. That's the
is to say, look, step back and say, what this man has, as my column says, this man, say whatever you want to. The man has been ultra successful in his life.
right, right.
There was before he ever got into politics, he was a
That
Democrat.
doesn't dismiss what I just said,
No, it
though. But
doesn't. But I'm just saying he was a Democrat. He was loved. Even just this week, they had the news folks channel, different channels, found a video of Chuck Schumer meeting with young people and talking about Donald Trump. And Chuck Schumer, my dad and Trump's grandfather uh, worked together in New York City in construction, and Donald Trump is going places, and I we're friends, and so on and so forth. You've seen Trump. I think Trump was either at, eh, I think he had the Clintons at one of his weddings. Um, he's been there's video of him on Oprah,
hmm
and she's just going overwhelmingly positive and listening to him. And why don't you
right,
run for president and all that sort of thing? So Trump Trump has that history. He gets on the national level and he's hated and loathed by people that used to be his friends. They've tried to kill him. They've tried to put him out of business. He owns up to his bankruptcies. Matter of fact, in my column, I say, you know what?
right,
He, he granted he's got hundreds of businesses. He's had bankruptcies. He's used that for good. He's used that to to propel him to do bigger and better things in his mind. And I'm like you. I'm not necessarily uh, anti-Trump style. There are things he does and says that I wouldn't do, and I say that in my column. Uh, but I think the left gets worked up because they just don't take the time to understand what he's trying to achieve. When he says, I'm going to run, I think, for a third term, he knows good and well he only says it because he's wanting to tweak them. It's like me
But why? Why?
because well, look at what happens to them. It he triggers them to do
It
things that
it
benefit the right.
inspires higher levels of hates. I don't know. I just
It
that's
inspires
not how I
people.
roll.
In one of my next columns, I'm going to be writing about. I don't know if you've heard this yet, but there's a new phrase, a new strategy by the left called dark woke,
Heard of it.
and Trump knows full well what dark woke is, and he's wanting to bring it out more. Um, he knows he's had yesterday. He came out with somebody asked him in his office in an interview with the press there something about paying women who have babies now uh, going forward, so as to help create a baby boom. Uh, would you incentivize women to have babies now? And he said, well, I think say like $5,000 to a woman who has a baby that she keeps uh, is a positive thing. And so the left then is triggered to go, oh, Whoopi Goldberg and people like her go berserk. So he does these things with the full intention of knowing that it's going to play right into his hands, and they have completely.
And sometimes it works in a great fashion. The whole thing with the tariffs coming out hard and heavy, and now it's all backing down through negotiations. And if it ends up that um, we roll things back to where the nation that we increased on is now at a lower level than that they started, then it's all good. I'm not saying it's not a good strategy. I'm just saying more is less, and don't be in everything in the world. That's all I'm saying.
The thing about the psyche is that I believe it's impossible for him to be any other way. He's 78 years old, and so he's not going to be any different. He's going to be brash. He's everything is branded Trump. But let
Do
me
do
ask
you
you this.
do you think Melania has his ear at all? I can
Oh, I'm
imagine her
sure.
having this
Just
conversation.
like my wife
I,
has my ear.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not a Trump, and I don't
yeah,
do things the
right.
way he does. But my wife, whatever my wife says to me, even if she doesn't think I'm listening to it or doesn't think that it resonates with me, resonates really well with me.
Big man too.
So I think at the end of the day, Melania is got his ear. I think Melania is it. I'm not Dr. Phil here or Ann Landers or whatever, but I think Melania is into that. I think she likes him being the way that he is. His kids are the same way.
Yeah,
Uh, you watch when his granddaughter, who's a little bit younger than Sammy, Kai is her name.
the
She plays
golfer
the
one.
golf.
Yeah,
She's going to come out and be, excuse my expression, in the world, a ball buster type of powerful woman. You watch and see, and I think that Trump is where who on this planet would have heard me say a year ago, Trump is running for office. He's going to be shot at and nearly killed, essentially. Twice he's going to be another time he's going to be targeted. He's going to have all these 34 convictions, all this other stuff is going to happen to him, and he's not going to blink, and he's going to become president. I swear, if there were 100 people that I said that to, 100 people would say that you're crazy. You're crazy. And yet we're watching this. And I think we ought to, for me, uh, again, there are things he does that I don't get and I don't like, but I'm a big time supporter of him because I think he has our country's interests first.
yeah.
And at the end of the day,
I don't
how
question
we
that.
get there. And one more thing I'll say, it was, and I think somebody on the left said this in an interview the other day. Trump for Easter over the Easter weekend said, "We've got to get our country back to." Uh, I'm paraphrasing, a relationship with Jesus Christ. Those were
Hmm.
his words, Jesus
Hmm.
Christ. And the person on the left, more than one person on the left, said, "We've never heard a sitting president ever say that in this country." And I think they're right. And so just, I think God's using Trump, giving Trump's, just like he used David, King David, just like he used Peter the Apostle, who was a crazy, wild impulsive dude. It's like he uses me, he uses you, he uses Sammy. He's using Trump. All right, let me just catch up on some comments. Yeah, Chuck, he does like those reactions. It gives him a measure on what people's reactions are. Yeah, I mean, you don't think this dark woke and people like Jasmine what a Crockett. He knows all he's got to do is say something. Like he said, she's a very low IQ person, and so she's on an interview last night or yesterday saying, calling him an idiot and saying, I got a higher IQ. She makes a fool of herself because she can't get away with the way Trump does it. Chuck says, I don't have a problem with it. Do it to as much as what the Democrats have. Yeah, exactly. Trump's wife in an interview said she doesn't agree with everything. I'm sure she probably says,
Right.
Donald, don't do that.
Right.
Can you hear her saying that? Like, Donald.
Yeah, I can.
And I'm sure he says, Melania, just roll with me. That's what he's saying.
I can imagine that too.
All right. So that's what I was trying to say yesterday. And we're going to see a whole lot more of it coming. And, but I've got a column coming on the dark woke. I'm also working on a draft of it's time that no longer should one American citizen pay taxes. Let's go the tariff route. Let's go the user fee route and be done with this crap. Because it's wrong what's happening. And I've heard all these people, taxation is theft or yeah, all that. I agree, but they go about it in such goofy ways. I'm just going to write a column that says, look, this is why stop taxing us. It's a ripoff, and here's why. So anyway, whew, I need
Right.
something to drink. All right, I'm gonna take something to drink while you do your random thoughts for today. You got any random thoughts?
Yeah, they're very random.
Let Jeff get a drink of his gin. All right, what you got? Lay it
Could have
on
used a
us.
little tonic with that. How come eggs don't taste like chicken? And you know who
Ugh,
said that?
I don't know, but that'd be nasty.
Well, you would just think that if the egg came from the chicken. Well, this was out of a Dennis the Menace. I'm going to tell you that.
Well, I mean,
Okay,
it's one of those
so anyway,
deals, yeah.
here we go. This is out of Jeffrey Michael, and I need to write a poem about this. Stereotypes and generalities are normally based largely on the truth.
Does an example come to mind?
A
So
stereotype,
what's your stereotype of an Alabama football player?
a um,
Don't think about it. Just what?
uh, uh, somebody wearing crimson and being fanatical about football and living
Tuscaloosa.
in Tuscaloosa, and you could live in a big city or you could be in a small town, or but you are absolutely a fanatic.
There you go. There's
Yeah,
truth
there's
embedded in
truth to
that.
that,
Yeah.
right?
There's
Okay,
more truths, but
yeah,
that's truth.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the deal. I mean, people are critical about you stereotype me. Well, if you didn't act like such and such, I wouldn't stereotype you as such and such.
Yeah.
Hello, it's
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
All right. Often, less is more, as we've stated here. It's not that I don't believe. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
and keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
So I got
That's good. That's my daddy used to say that.
keep on
My
keeping on.
version of that's just keep marching. I told somebody that the other day. Just keep marching. I got to tell myself that. Particularly as we go through these changes,
All
we
right.
keep marching forward.
All right. We got
All
to
right,
get to
there you go.
this.
So here we go. Tonight is 2025. Sammy's
Hey,
nervous
people,
because he knows his
don't
picks are
take
gonna
any notes
stink.
because
No, take notes.
this isn't really important because this
We're,
is just three guys giving three opinions.
Wait a minute. Two guys and an expert. Let's get this
Okay,
right.
excuse me. All right, here we go.
So tonight is the draft. So what I've asked the guys here to do is to do their, and I'm doing mine, top 10 draft picks. So you're a general manager, owner, not one and the same.
Are we gonna roll them where we read it, all of them, or are we gonna
I'm gonna say I'm gonna
say Tennessee and then we each go, and
yep.
then Cleveland, then we
And
each
they
go?
already written down, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sammy is written
Okay.
down.
Yep.
Don't
All
be
right.
cheating off dad.
I ain't.
Number
All
one
right,
in the
so here
draft
we
is
go. So
Tennessee.
we're gonna start with Sammy.
Sammy.
Yeah, Tennessee. Wait. I'm Roger Goodell. With the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans choose.
Cameron Ward, quarterback out of Miami. That was good.
That was
Yeah,
good.
That was
Yeah.
good.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna have that, but let's see.
What about you, Jeff?
Second verse, same as the first.
Yeah, third verse, same.
Boom.
Cam Ward. The second pick in the NFL Draft is going to Cleveland.
Travis Hunter, cornerback, wide receiver.
Second verse, same as the first.
Third verse, same as the first and second. So I got Carter. All right, Hunter. All right, third draft pick goes to the New York Giants. They choose
Abdul Carter,
from
Penn State, number 11,
what position?
defensive edge. Micah Parsons, time,
Yeah.
whatever.
You know, it's fun that that edge
Jeff didn't
is a
pick.
good
Jeff didn't
description.
pick Carter. He's.
No, I
Oh,
got
did
it.
you?
I was just going to talk about edge. We're using that term in the last 3 or 4 years. It used to mean
Yeah.
defensive left tackle or defensive right tackle.
Yeah.
But I like edge. I like
Yeah,
that
no,
term.
I wouldn't call. I mean, I would call. What do you call? What position does our dude Micah Parsons play?
Defensive edge.
I say he's a linebacker.
I say he's a rover.
See.
I say it.
All right. So who
edge.
do you have with the what did
So
I
New
say?
York, I have
The-
Abdul Carter going.
Yeah, I do too.
All right. I got Carter going to the Giants.
Right.
Okay. The fourth pick. Patriots choose
Will Campbell out of LSU. Drake May needs something.
what position?
He is an
Left tackle. He's offensive line, right? He's a
yeah.
tackle.
Oh, were you asking me?
Yeah.
I think he's left tackle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What about you, Jeff?
I've got tackle out of Missouri,
Yeah. Mimbo.
Miramar Membo.
Yeah. Miramar. Okay. So Jeff went off the reservation. Well, that's all right though. All right. Here we go.
Wait, who do you have for the Patriots?
Oh, I got Will Campbell going to the Patriots.
Okay.
All
And
right.
Chuck said
Number, huh?
Chuck said Giants going for a QB.
Yeah, I don't know, Chuck.
That'd be crazy.
Chuck may be just waking up from a nap.
Number 5, Jacksonville.
All right, Jacksonville with the number 5 pick. Choose.
So where it gets interesting. I'm gonna go Hitaria McMillan,
That's-
wide receiver out of Arizona.
You mean Tetaroa?
Tetaroa.
Yeah, okay.
Number 5.
Tetaroa, you hear that? How I had to help him, Chuck? I had to help Sammy. Yeah, Tetaroa
McMillan
from where?
from
Arizona.
wide
Is
receiver.
going to the Jags. Okay.
I'm going to take the first running back off the chart out of Colorado, Ashton Gentry.
No, out of Utah.
I mean,
No, he's not out of Utah.
I mean, Boise State.
I wrote, yes, bad.
Okay,
All
so
right, I've got Gianti, that's how I say it, going to the Jags at number 5.
Okay.
All right, number 6, the Raiders choose.
Ashton Genty, he's going to the Raiders. He's going to the Raiders.
Sammy ain't got a
I'm
clue.
going with the defensive tackle, Mason Graham out of Michigan.
Okay, and I'm going with somebody named Banks. I can't remember. Kelvin
Banks out of
Yeah,
Texas.
yep. The Raiders. Number
Okay.
7. So with the number 7 pick, the Jets choose.
Jets are going with Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State.
Jeffrey.
Did you take a Will Campbell earlier?
Yes.
I
the
took a Will
Patriots.
Campbell at 4 for the
Yeah, me
Patriots.
too.
As a defensive tackle?
He is an offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle, yeah.
All right, what do you
Okay,
got?
I've got him going to the Jets.
Okay, I've got at number 7 going to the Jets, Tyler Warren
Oh,
from
wow.
Penn State, tight end.
Okay.
All right, number 8 is the Panthers. Sammy, who you got them going to?
Linebacker out of Georgia, Jalen Walker.
Okay.
Pick 8 to the Panthers.
What do you got at 8?
I'm with you there, Sam.
All right, I've got your boy Mimbo going to the Panthers at 8. All right, number 9, the Saints. This is a big one. A lot of talk about this one.
Yeah,
Who do you have?
This is kind of all over from doing my research. I went with Michael Williams, the defensive edge out of Georgia.
Okay.
So
Yeah, he's good. All right.
I went with the quarterback out of Colorado, Shador Sanders,
That's
and I did also see an article the other day about how he was so brash and jerky in an interview with one coach, a position coach, and now I read in USA Today. You won't believe what happened to us paper-wise today. Our Dallas Morning News
We're taking a detour. Give us a minute.
came with 2 sections of the Dallas Morning News and 4 sections of the USA Today, all wrapped in one paper. They print that, at the
Yeah,
so
that's pitiful.
wow.
All right, who did you have at 9? Shador Sanders going to the Saints.
Yeah.
who do they have? They don't have a quarterback, do they?
Well, they got
Derek
Derek Carr, but they think he's hurt.
Yeah.
Um,
That's not a bad pick.
Thank you.
yeah. So anyway, all right, I've got Walker. What's it?
Jalen Walker.
Yeah, going to the Saints.
Okay.
And then at number 10, our last pick for the purposes of this, going to the Bears. Who do you have, Sam?
This person was pretty high up on a lot of boards, but I had him falling. Mason Graham out of Michigan, the defensive tackle.
Yep.
Going 10th.
I don't have him in mind.
And I got the tight end out of
Penn State.
Penn State, Tyler Warren, that you guys had
That's a good
earlier.
pick right there.
Yeah.
I have Williams. What's Williams' first name?
Michael?
Michael
Yeah.
Williams going to the Bears.
Okay.
So
And
there you have it.
where are the Cowboys at again?
12.
12.
12th.
And the Cowboys, I think they've got their sights on Pee Wee Herman
I think
for punter.
I think it's going as Golden.
Well,
Wide
Golden,
receiver.
and then Terry says that I don't know how to say that name.
Ecubon,
Ecubon out of Ohio State.
Ohio State. Terry's got McMillan, Tetaroa going to the Raiders at number 6. He's
Ooh,
got,
that's
oh yeah, Ashton Genty to Jacksonville. Way to go.
well.
Oh, Chuck's
Trevor Lo-
defending you again, Sammy.
Trevor Lawrence needs some help, but not a running
Well,
back.
yeah, he does. They got to have a running game. And let me tell you about. I hate to bust your bubble, Mr.
Which one?
NFL
Which
prognosticator,
one? I'm not.
but Shador Sanders is going to go. I actually thought he was going to go to Pittsburgh at number 21. I don't think that's going to happen now, based on my little studies. I think he's going to end up. Are you ready? At Cleveland
The
because
mistake
of a
on the leg.
trade.
Wow.
So imagine that. Cleveland's already drafted Travis Hunter. They're going to make a trade later in the first round so they can get Shador Sanders, and they're going to hook those two back up.
I was trying to
That'd be
think
cool.
of a blockbuster to put in here with the trade of the Cowboys moving up on something, and I thought, but they don't have any trade bait.
No,
Don't
they
have any
don't.
trade bait at
I
all.
mean, hey, they may select Fat Albert for long snapper. You never know. Given Jerry
Okay.
Jones.
Who had the
All right.
best list? I got to go with me.
Of
So
course you do, but we'll find. We're going to go over this on.
I'll,
Well, we
I'll
won't be
put
here.
myself last. That's
We'll
fine.
see tonight.
yeah, keep a hold of this.
All right.
It's in the big book.
Time for a poem.
As you might have guessed, the only reason I'm ever sitting here today is that I wrote this poem called The Newspaper after I got a subscription to the paper, and I went up to HEB and I wrote this thing in. I was waiting to get my car finished.
Are we taking another detour?
Newspapers, some say, are a thing of the past. I, for one, pray that they last. Every morning for all my life, I read of global joys and strife. All the news that's fit to print, you learn about things of which you had not a hint. Remember, the internet version started as print. No logon is needed. Go outside, grab it, and read it. Now I'll break from my rhyme for a very short time. Let me be abundantly clear of a concept I hold dear. George B. Dealey, yes, of Dealey Plaza fame, founded the Dallas Morning News in 1865. His founding principle was that the newspaper must acknowledge the right of the people to get from the newspaper both sides of every important question. Nowadays, your papers are all leaning to the far left or right. You can choose either fight. Same for the electronic media. Just consider the source before believing, of course. I grew up in a family of newspaper readers. My wife, long a teacher, whips. Readers are leaders. Today's a great day in my new Waxahachie life. I now get home delivery of the Sun to read with my wife.
That's a great poem. That's a great poem. And you know what? You're going to do really well in your audio version. Serious. That's the way you read a poem, and with passion and with interest. One of the reasons of dozens of reasons why Jeff is one of my dearest friends is because I, you got to have in your small circle of friends, you got to have all of them should just call it the way they see it. So if you say, "Hey, this hat I got on today, does it look all right?" I don't want people to say, "Yeah, it looks all right," when they know I look like an idiot. And Jeff is the one, the others are too. In their own various styles, they'll say, "You look like a fool in that hat." And so when we make these changes and we do these things, again, one of the dozens of reasons Jeff is so dear to me is because I'm going to go through this gauntlet, this filter. And Jeff's going to say, "What about this? What about this? I don't like you doing that. I don't like this." And so we navigate it. And in all these changes that we're doing with the paper, you don't know it, but there are things that Jeff and I talked about that are manifested that would not have otherwise been done had Jeff not been a part of this. I'll never forget one of the first, I think maybe the first or second time I met Jeff, maybe the first time, is he comes in here his old grumpy style, you know how it is. Said, "This paper, animating. But this paper is rolled too tight. I can't unroll this paper and read it. And he was right. We didn't change it because the carriers do it the way they do it. But that's the first time I met Jeff. But I love you just got to have friends that love you enough to tell you the truth.
God's gonna give
Anyway,
you more focus later on about where else you'll be able to get the print
yeah.
paper still.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
Today in history,
How'd you do?
I went 5 and 3 out of 7. I got one double, one
5
bonus
and 3
there.
out of 7. So you got a bonus. Yeah.
I got one bonus.
Okay.
Okay. In what is considered the start of the Armenian genocide, the Ottoman Empire began rounding up American political and cultural leaders in Constantinople.
Man.
First, I want to read. Chuck said, Jeff, if Scott asks if you should wear an Alabama hat, you ought to say, maybe not today.
I like it. Thank
That
you.
ain't happening. I
Fair,
didn't say
bro.
I listened to the advice.
I did not read this thing very closely. Boy, I was
You're
so
going to have to
far
All
go
off.
right.
first.
So
I didn't.
1792. I don't know.
1752.
1915.
Oh, that's what I meant. I had my numbers.
I had 1475. I was off by 500 years.
It's
I
about
don't know
that
when the
much.
Armenian
I don't
genocide.
either. 19. Okay. So we're starting Sammy in the 50s.
1915 is where we
No,
start.
15. Okay. Yeah.
1915. Here we go. Rioting erupted in Biloxi, Mississippi after black protesters staged a wade-in at a whites-only beach. They were attacked by a crowd of hostile white people. And
Chuck got it. 1912. We got it.
1931.
No, we started. Oh, 1950. You're right. I'd say. I wonder if that's the Mississippi burning stuff. 1948.
it was a wade-in. No, 1960. So
Ah,
there I am, 0-2, and then I rally. Here we
Yeah,
go.
I'm 0-2. Sammy's
Soviet
0-2.
cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov was killed when his Soyuz 1 spacecraft smashed into the Earth after his parachutes failed to deploy properly during re-entry. He was the first human space flight fatality.
That hurt.
1963.
1975.
1967. You're in it.
Yes. That's one.
Chuck's on a roll. All right.
The United States launched an unsuccessful attempt to free 53 American hostages in Iran that resulted in the deaths of 8 U.S. service members.
Bonus time
Bonus
for
time.
your boy.
I got it.
What you got, Sammy? You want me to say it first?
1991.
1979.
1980.
Oh, that ain't
That's
right.
sad. They went to go rescue people and then.
Yeah, that was Carter.
Oh.
Carter allowed them to stay in captivity for 444 days. Reagan, it's almost like Trump in some ways, but Reagan wins the election and he gets them out.
In
1980.
in
You're
no
right.
time.
Yeah.
In no time.
Chuck's on a roll, man.
Space Shuttle Discovery blasted off from Cape Canaveral, Florida, carrying the 1.5 billion Hubble Space Telescope.
What was the last?
Oh my
Last one was 80. I really screwed this one up. Didn't think it through right.
2002.
2007.
1990.
Ooh, I'm getting smoked.
Yeah, I don't know any of these.
The final bomb linked to the Unabomber exploded inside the Sacramento, California offices of the California Forestry Association. Now, what was it doing there? I'll never know. Killing one. Theodore Kaczynski was later the Unabomber.
Yep.
Theodore, call me Ted. Later sentenced to 4 life sentences in prison for a series of bombings that killed 3 people and injured 23 others.
1996.
1995.
1995.
He's cheating off me.
So, what was that
He
bomb
wouldn't have.
doing at the California Forestry Office?
Yeah,
I
that's
would
where.
think in a forensic
Yeah, no, I
lab.
remember him being obsessed with poetry and
Chuck got
forestry.
2005.
And we close with in Bangladesh, an 8-story building housing garment factories collapsed, killing more than 1,100 people.
It's awful.
And a sweat factory, man.
That's awful.
When
Guess
was
I
that?
got to have the bonus here to break even. 2017.
2014.
13.
That's 3 and 4 today.
Okay.
That ain't good.
I
That
got one
ain't
bonus.
good.
One,
There you go.
2, 3,
All right,
4.
very good.
Let's round this up a meme.
We got let's put up our good news today. This is a great story. I'll just let the video speak for itself, and I think you will feel good about it. So, Sammy, Sammy is going to play it for us right now.
And the life-saving answer. George Johnson's practically a staple at this neighborhood sandwich shop in South Philadelphia.
He comes in every day for coffee.
Nearly every day for more than a decade, Carolyn DiFabrizio's been serving him up at Steak 'em Up. Then one day proved to be anything but routine.
I came in like I usually do for my coffee.
After handing her a carton of creamer, George noticed Carolyn wasn't sporting her usual smile.
And I gave it to her, and I said, "Is there anything else I can get you?"
Carolyn's answer came as a surprise.
Yeah, if you got an extra kidney, I'll take it.
Little did George know, Carolyn had stage 5 kidney failure, which had reached the point where she required daily at-home dialysis. Little did she know, when she answered that simple question, that George, her regular customer, would respond so irregularly.
So I said, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" About a week later, I went and called and got tested, and everything came back that I'm a match.
Out of the world full of people, I'm still floored.
The surgery in late December was a success.
Do not give up hope, because God is good and He will be there.
Very good. So there's
Nice.
the feel good of great good news. So thank you for being here. We look forward to seeing you soon. Sam and I will announce the things with Jeff being out of town, what we're going to be doing next week. But keep your eyes open for Great and Good News on Substack come May 12th. We'll keep reminding you, and please become a subscriber. With that, it's all yours, Jeffrey.
Don't forget, don't write a check you can't cash.